Hello, in this video we will be using the quadratic formula to find roots of functions. Finding the roots of functions is the same thing as finding the zeros of functions or x-intercepts of functions, which is where the graph of the function crosses the x-axis. Okay, it is basically the same thing. There are four ways we can find the roots of functions. One is by factoring, which works for simple ones. We can graph it, which is very visual way of seeing where the line crosses the x-axis. And sometimes the function may be a little bit complicated with unfriendly numbers. We may need to complete the square or use the quadratic formula as we are going to do in this lesson. Okay, and remember this is the quadratic formula. And we write them out. This is what the quadratic equation looks like, the function looks like when y is solved. Okay, a is the coefficient of the x squared, b is the coefficient of x, c is the constant. Now, you see that addition is the default of this equation. So it is very helpful when we plug things into our formula. We want to change the function to addition, so rather than subtraction. So, for example, let's look at this problem. Okay, so it has subtraction in it. So we want to change this first of all to addition so that it will help us see exactly what the signs of each number is. Okay, so here this is our function. So we can rewrite this by writing 2x squared plus, okay? Now, the rule of adding integer says when you subtract an integer is the same thing as adding its opposite. So if we change the subtraction to addition, we change 3x to negative 3x. Okay, again, we change this subtraction to addition and we change 5 to negative 5. And equals, and again we're going to make y to become 0 because in the x-intercept y is always 0. So we are looking for x, what x would be when y is 0 in the ordered pair. So wherever we see y, we can just replace it with 0, okay, right away. This is better because y is already solved. If y is not solved, then we have to solve for y first before we set it equal to 0. All right, so now we can identify what our A is, what B is, okay? So we can work with them, all right? So what is A? All right, our A will be the coefficient of x squared, okay, which is 2. And then B will be the coefficient of x, which is negative 3. And C is this coefficient, which is negative 5. All right, and now we can plug things into our formula, okay, and finish here. Okay, the formula down here again. So it's going to be the color. Okay. All right, so x is equal to negative b, and b again is negative 3. B is negative 3, and then plus or minus the square root of b, which is negative 3 squared, and then minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 5, all over 2 times a, and a is 2. Okay, we simplify. Okay, it's negative 3, negative 3 will become positive 3. So we're just going to have positive 3 plus or minus the square root of, okay, negative 3 times negative 3 will become positive 9. Minus, again, make sure you do follow the order of operation. We need to multiply before we subtract. So 4 times 2 is 8. And 8 times negative 5, it's negative 40. Negative 40. All over 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, keep going down, simplifying inside the square root. Plus or minus. Okay, 9. Again, we change subtraction to adding its opposite. Change subtraction to addition, and then we change negative 40 to 40. The rule of subtracting integer over 4, step by step. Okay, it's very important you watch your sign. Sign is one thing that messes people up. Okay, so let's keep going. What else can we simplify? We can add 9 plus 40 inside the square root. 9 plus 40 is 49. All over 4. Okay, so good enough, 49 is a perfect square, so we can bring it out of that. So square root of 49 is 7, so we can actually write 7 over 4. Okay, so now good, makes it easier when the square root is gone. So we're going to have these two separate answers. Let's separate it like this. So either x is equal to 3 plus 7 over 4, or x is equal to 3 minus 7 over 4. Okay, because of the square root, whenever there is because of this plus or minus, okay, we're going to add 7 here, we subtract 7, and then there are two terms. So x equals 3 plus 7 is 10. So it's 10 over 4, which can also be simplified to 5 over 2. Okay, we keep that. That's the farthest we can go. How about here? We have x equals, again, we can 3 minus 7 or 3 plus negative 7 will give us negative 4 over 4, which can simplify to negative 1. A negative divides a positive is negative. So, okay, so here are our two x's. So we can put them in as a set. X could be 5 over 2, or x could be 1. Again, this is a set. It is not parentheses, so it's not ordered pair. It's all x's. What x could be? X could be 5 over 2, or x could be negative 1. All right, let's look at another one. Here we have n. There's no y, so we just solve this equation for 0. We set it equal to 0. Okay? All right, and then we set it equal to 0. We add 7 to both sides, and then we collect like terms, negative 15 and 7. We have negative 8, so we change subtraction to adding its opposite. So to see clearly, this is negative 8. What's our A? Our A is 8. Our B is 7, and our C is negative 8. Okay, plug them into our formula. So x is going to be negative B, which is negative 7, plus or minus the square root of B7 squared minus 4 times A, which is 8, times negative 8. All over 2 times A, which is 2 times 8. So x equals negative 7 plus or minus square root of 7 times 7 is 49. Sorry, that's 49. Minus, again, make sure you multiply before you subtract. So 4 times 8, or 8 times 8 is negative, 8 times negative 8 is negative 64, times 4, that's going to be negative 256. And then it's all over 2 times 8, which is 16. And the next, we go on to simplify this. Negative 7, let's simplify inside the square root. So it's going to be the square root of 49. Change subtraction to addition. Change negative to positive 156 divided by 16. If we add those, we get again negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 49 plus 2, 56, that gives us 305. 305 all over 16. All right, 305 is not a perfect square, but we can see if there's any perfect square that can go into that. It doesn't look like one, so then you will leave it like that. Okay, so we're going to separate them. So it's either x is equal to negative 7 plus square root of 305 over 16, or x is equal to negative 7 minus square root of 305 over 16. Okay, there's nothing else to simplify there, so that's it.